Welcome back to the Rough Example Datsun 510 project. I got my trusty shopmate Margot here hanging out with us today. Um, so I got a few updates. I've been working hard this week on the car. Um, One of them is I got myself a belt for the excessive bracket. Um, One of my friends gave me this bracket because he ended up not using it, and I kind of had to piece it together. So I had to buy that pulley and then figure out which belt would fit. But basically, this allows you to get rid of the air conditioner, since I'm not going to have one on this car. Um, so I figured out that basically I just put a rope on there and measured it. It turned out to be 35 inches to the middle of this bracket. And so I just went down to the store and found this one. So kind of how this works, like each company has their system, but for the Duralast, 35 means it's 35 inches long, and then the K3 means it's 3 ribs. Um, so 3 rib is what I needed for these particular pulleys, and that's how I figured out which belt to use. Um, I can't remember if I'd covered this before, but I switched over to this Volkswagen coil. I think it's off like a Mark IV Volkswagen. Um, and it has 4 posts instead of just the single. Um, and I wanted to, I'd rather not drill a bunch of holes in the firewall and, Swiss cheese my new paint job and everything. So I built a little bracket that bolts onto this excessive idler pulley bracket, and so that way I kind of tuck it in there and it's nice and close. Hopefully I don't melt my wires. I might have to concoct some kind of a little heat shield on there, but that's how I'm gonna try it initially. And one of the next challenges I'm up against is I replaced the trigger wheel inside my distributor with the DIY auto tune unit, and that has 2 channels out. I think one of them tells the ECU where top dead center is, and the other one is the cam position, I believe. So anyway, I'm kind of having a hard time figuring out how to wire this up. Haven't been able to find a clear definitive answer on which wires go to it. So for now, I've got these are the micro squirt VR1 and VR2 inputs. So there's 4 wires. So I got to figure out how to hook these up. I did figure out this one is the positive and this one's the ground, and then these 2 are the signals. But yeah, got to get that dialed in, and then I'll pretty much have the wiring harness done for the engine. So I haven't wrapped anything. I'm just kind of doing testing, and so I've left everything raw. But I do have all of the sensors connected. And I also 3D printed this piece back in here. It just bolts onto the strut tower and holds the intake air temp sensor. So if you need one of those, hit me up. I can get you sorted out. One thing that I cannot figure out is my alternator wiring. See, I've got my alternator unhooked right now because the other day I came out here, the battery kept draining, and I came out here and felt the alternator, and it was hot to the touch. So for whatever reason, the alternator is sucking that battery juice, and so I don't know if I just need to reverse the wires or what, but that definitely could have been bad if it lit on fire or something. You can also see back here on the firewall that I'm running this aluminum grommet. I think it looks really nice, and it was really cheap on Amazon, like 15 bucks. If you search for, I think it's like the Holly Terminator um, grommet, it'll come up. I guess it's designed for the Holly Terminator. It's got two large holes that the wires come through. So I've got like all my power wires coming through one, and then all of my sensor wires going through the other one to keep them separate. Um, so today I've been doing a bunch of work on the wiring. Um, I finally booted up the micro squirt on the computer. I'll show you that in a minute. But I've been doing a ton of wiring underneath the glove box with the fuse box and the relay panel. So the problem I'm running into is that this relay panel only has one ground in. You can't set different ground triggers for the different relays. So you're kind of stuck. You know, you can run a different trigger in over here, but it has to be a positive trigger. So what I decided to do is order this other one off of Amazon. The brand is Nylite, and this one comes unpinned, so you can put all of the wires in. You got to crimp the terminals on there, and that way you can have a different ground for each of the relays. Comes with like 5 relays and a 6th. I think this one's like a 4-pin relay, and these are the 5 pins. Comes with some fuses. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing today, is switching. I ended up completely changing to a different relay panel. You can kind of see it up in there. It's that black box there. I had a different one in there, and it just wasn't really working out because of some of the grounding issues. There's a lot of ground triggered relays in the micro squirt setup. So I had to switch to this one because my previous relay box wouldn't allow you to do ground triggers. So I spent basically the whole morning rewiring the car. But yeah, let me fire up the laptop and you can see how the micro squirt works. Oh, sorry. Okay, so it's offline right now, but once I turn the car on, it'll boot up. When you put the key in, it will do a little, what would you call it? Like a little prime for the fuel pump. But next I just need to dial in the sensors. Like you can see the throttle position sensor does change when I hit the gas. But engine speed won't do anything until I get that crank angle and cam angle sensor issue worked out. And then air fuel ratio, that should be tied to the wideband, which kind of got messed up this week. I was looking at the wideband, went to plug it in, and realized that this connector is all like mashed up. Looked like someone had hit it with pliers or something. One of the wires was ripped out. So yeah, previous owner kind of messed me up on that. I have no idea where to get a new terminal aside from reaching out to Autometer, but got to resolve something on that. It's like a 10-pin connector, but this is all the wideband wiring. So that'll get wired up, and then I should be set for air-fuel ratio. Coolant temp, you can see it's almost 100 degrees out here at my house. And pulse width 1, I do not know what that is. I guess we'll soon find out. But anyway, yeah, really exciting to have started that up and not melted anything down or lit it on fire. So definitely excited about that and kind of relieved. Been kind of stressing that. Another update is seatbelts. I got the seatbelts installed. I did have to do a little custom work down on the mount here. So let's see here. Since I've got my roll bar right here, it kind of blocks that whole section. But this hole right here, that's the factory mount, but these cars didn't come with retractable seat belts originally. So you only had the one hole. And so you can't just drill a hole in here and put a bolt on it because you don't have access to the back. So what I did is, you probably can't see it, but I built a L bracket that bolts to this unit, comes down to the floor and over, and then bolts through the bottom of the floor. So that way, if you get in a wreck, this can't just like rip out. But yeah, I got those put in, and then I need to figure out how to do the inner receptacles, like that'll go here. I think what I'm going to do is mount it onto this, because normally the old ones would mount to the floor, but they were just like a big loose strap. And these new ones that I'm running are the cable type, like this. So they're a little bit shorter. If I put it on there, then I don't want it to be rubbing up against my lever right here. So I think what I'm going to do is bolt it onto the seat bracket there, so that as you slide the seat forward and backwards, the receptacle comes with you. So that's next on the list of things to do. So hopefully by next week I will have all this mounted up. I'm still chasing down that mysterious grounding issue with my turn signal and the high beams. So whenever you hit the high beams, the turn signal light comes on. Once I figure that out, then I can put the dashboard back together. That's the only thing that's jamming me up right now. I also got a couple of things over here that I can show you guys. I decided to buy a fire extinguisher for it, just in case I melt something down. So you can spend a lot of money on fire extinguishers. If you get a wet compound one, you're looking at around $250 to $500. The nice thing about those is that if you do have a fire and you have to spray your car, you don't get that white powder all over. But I did not have the budget for that, and so I bought this one for like $22, and hopefully I never have to use it. I did have to use one of these once. I had an old Volkswagen that lit on fire, and I never got the white powder out of the car. Like, as much as I would clean it, it would always come back or come out of the seats and stuff. But kind of is what it is. Maybe when I have a bigger budget one of these days, I'll get a nice one. But I also got myself a little mounting bracket that you install it onto. So basically this thing bolts onto the floorboard or wherever you're going to put it, and then if you pull on that, then the whole thing breaks loose. So looks like it came with a couple of clamps. And okay, looks like some shrink tubing in there that you can put on the clamps to make it look a little nicer. I think these worm type clamps look kind of crappy, like kind of cheapo. But yeah, maybe if I run that, it'll look a little bit better. But yeah, let's check out the fire extinguisher. Okay, it comes with the little wall mount bracket there and a little strap for it. But yeah, we're not going to be using that. So anyway, yeah, that's the Kitty brand. Kita, I don't know how you pronounce that, but I think it's like a 2.5 pound. So anyway, yeah, that'll just bolt on there, and I think this will get mounted on the center tunnel, like kind of like that, and then the shifter would go here, so that it's nice and close. You could just reach back and grab it in case of a fire. But I've also been trying to get the rust off of this hood striker right here. It's pretty bad. Like, I should probably just buy a new one, but I'm gonna see if I can make it work. But oh, I also got some fans installed this week on the front grill. I can show you. Now, I know that it's better to have your fans in here, but the clearances were just too tight. If you run the CX racing radiator, that one goes out to like right here, and it kind of gives you a little more space so that you can, like I could clear that with my fan, but I just can't clear that. And I didn't have enough room with this small radiator. This is the Volkswagen Scirocco radiator. So if you have the CX Racing, you can fit them in here. My friend Dwayne is doing that, and he's able to fit his fans inside. But I had to do mine in front and run them as pusher fans. You might be able to see them back here a little bit, but there's two fans in there. I had to kind of stagger them like up down because I couldn't even fit them side by side, and these are just little, I think they're a 8-inch fan. So it's tight, but that's what would fit. So anyway, those are in there. I tested them out. They work pretty well. So yeah, getting close. Starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel on this thing. Hopefully I'll be trying to start up the engine in the next couple weeks here. So keep tuning in. I appreciate you guys' support. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in there for me and I'll try to answer. And you can also check me out on Instagram at Rough Example. Thanks for watching.